Hey, Good News family, this is Pastor Steve, and I'm just out here in my backyard because we're not having church tonight, but I thought it would be kind of interesting to have an online church, maybe do it on Facebook tonight, and kind of give you some of my thoughts about the text I was going to cover. And so hopefully you have a few minutes, just kind of kick back, and we'll do church tonight. I know it's a little different, but we'll see how this thing goes, and we'll see how you like it. We're still in the book of Ecclesiastes, and we're in Ecclesiastes chapter 8, if you want to turn your Bibles to that. I'm reading out of the New Living Translation tonight. And, you know, one of the things that really stood out to me about this passage here is that, you know, one of the things that's difficult for Christians to understand is, like, why is it that bad people don't seem to get everything good, and why is it that good people have to go through things that are tough? And, you know, one of the things people say all the time is life isn't fair, and of course we know life's not fair, but we have a hard time and we struggle with it because we say, well, where's God in all this? And so let me read to you today from Ecclesiastes chapter 8, beginning in verse 9. It says, "I've thought deeply about all that goes on here under the sun, where people have the power to hurt each other. I've seen wicked people buried with honor, yet they were the very ones who frequented the temple and are now praised in the same city where they committed their crimes. This too is meaningless. When a crime is not punished quickly, people feel it safe to do wrong. But even though a person sins 100 times and still lives a long time, I know that those who fear God will be better off." And I think that's really where we need to be. We understand that, you know what, good things happen to bad people, and bad things sometimes happen to good people. We understand that's just kind of the nature of the world we live in. But we have to understand that those who fear God are always going to be better off. I mean, do we understand that? Do we know that in our hearts? He goes on to say, "The wicked will not prosper, for they do not fear God. Their days will never grow long like the evening shadows." And this is not all that's meaningless in our world. In this life, good people are often treated as though they're wicked, and wicked people are often treated as though they're good. And this is so meaningless. And I thought about that. I thought, you know, in the wake of all that's been going on in the world lately, especially, you know, what happened in Connecticut, I think it's so difficult for us to understand sometimes why it is that the wicked seem to prosper, the wicked seem to be able to do what they want to do, and it's the good who suffer. And a lot of times we ask, well, where is God? Where is God in all this? But you know what it says in here? It says here that this too is meaningless. And usually when we read Ecclesiastes and we think about what's meaningless, we think about what's pointless and what doesn't make sense. We think about things like it seems futile, you know, it's just meaningless, junk. But in here, let's maybe expand the way we see the word meaningless a little bit to understand that maybe it means lacking meaning. Like, is it possible that the fact that people don't, good people don't always get the good that they expect? Is it possible there's no meaning to that? Like, there's no big, deep spiritual meaning? That it's just the world we live in that's broken? You know, oftentimes people want to somehow blame God for things that happen that don't make sense, or things that seem so wrong when good people have bad things happen. But is it possible that really Satan's the author of everything bad and corrupt, and we just happen to live in a world where he's able to run free? You see, that's the whole point, isn't it? So when we look at things like bad things happening to good people, is it possible that that's all just really meaningless? In other words, it lacks spiritual meaning. You know, that right there really began to open my eyes, because that's the biggest question I get as a pastor, especially during times like this. You know, why would God allow those kinds of things to happen? Because, like in Connecticut, those kids didn't do anything wrong. You know, these were good kids. These were kids who had a future ahead of them. And why would something like that happen? And the answer to it is this, is that the things that we see in this world that seem so messed up and so broken and so corrupt, that they're meaningless. You see, they lack meaning. They lack spiritual meaning. You see, the bottom line is we live in a corrupt world where things happen. And it's true that wicked people, good things happen to wicked people, and that's just kind of the nature of the world we live in. And also, bad things happen to good people, but that's just kind of the way it is. But it's meaningless. So here's what Solomon has to say to kind of wrap the whole thing up. He says, "So I recommend having fun, because there is nothing better for people in this world than to eat, to drink, and then to enjoy life. That way they will experience some happiness along the way with the hard work God gives them under the sun." And I think, you know, we are so, like, as Christians, we're so focused on finding fairness and making sense out of things and trying to find meaning in things. And maybe what we need to do is just sit back and really enjoy the life that God gave us, and really take hold of everything that God has given us to enjoy in this world, and not try to find meaning so much, and not try to find happiness, and not try to find what's good, and not try to find fairness, especially because we live in a world that's unfair. And maybe we just enjoy the moment we're in. It goes on to say, in my search for wisdom and in my observation of people's burdens here on earth, I discovered that there is ceaseless activity day and night. I realize that no one can discover everything God is doing under the sun. Not even the wisest people discover everything, no matter what they claim. So is it possible that not even the wisest people, if they can't figure it out, is it possible that maybe I'll not be able to figure it out either? You know, the thing about it is I need to not be concerned about why things happen. I need to not be concerned about trying to somehow find fairness in things. Maybe I find joy in the life that God gave me, even in the midst of things that happen in my life that I don't deserve. Maybe even when bad things happen in my life, even when I watch people who are wicked people, bad or good things happen to them, you know, maybe those things don't really have any spiritual meaning, but they just happen in the world we live in. So is it possible that we can just begin to enjoy life and just enjoy it the way God gave it to us and not worry about finding fairness or trying to make sense of it all, and we can just really begin to enjoy what we have? You know, tonight what I'd like to do is just open up Facebook for just open posts. And so below this you're going to see a place to post. You can comment on anything you've heard here tonight. So what I'd like you to do is just feel free to post it, to share some thoughts back and forth. Please don't spew a bunch of theology, because I don't want to have to go in and try to correct any of that kind of stuff. But some of your thoughts about, you know, about things in your life, maybe a testimony of what God's done, those kinds of things, just kind of to share that on Facebook would be awesome. It would be appropriate. So right below here, share it and see how it goes tonight. We'll see how this is, and maybe on other snow days we have here at the church, we can use this again. So anyway, God bless you. Thank you for joining me tonight here on Facebook, and I hope you enjoy the forum to follow. Have a good night. God bless you.